asking for them to be fair when the CEO is making millions.
The auto workers' strike is moving west. Today, UAW workers walked off the job at even more plants. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Today, United Auto Workers took to picket lines at 6 locations across the West. Those facilities are here shown in yellow on this map. Workers are now striking in Oregon, Southern California, Colorado, and Nevada. The other 2 facilities in red are not on strike at this time. In total, 38 distribution centers owned by GM, Ford, and Stellantis are joining in this nationwide labor movement that began last week. In Beaverton, Oregon today, workers walked off the job. Several people lined the streets outside of the Stellantis facility there. Workers say they are determined to stay on strike until they get a fair contract.
It's not just about money, it's really about the fairness to the people, their dignity, their respect. They're being asked to work long hours, overtime, different things like that, and the companies are making billions of dollars.
In a statement, GM says today's strike escalation is unnecessary and that it has contingency plans in place. The UAW is demanding a 32-hour work week, a restoration of old pension plans, and wage hikes of more than 35%. The union says it will be dipping into its strike fund to pay each member $500 a week. Auto workers in Southern California joined in this work stoppage today. As Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez shows us, the impact is already being felt.
I see the ice and the water coming out. Talk to me.
Yeah, we're ready. We're here for the long haul.
Contracts!
UAW Local 230 members got the notice early this morning, walking out at Inland Empire distribution centers. General Motors in Rancho Cucamonga and the Ontario Stellantis facility, both big distributors of parts for all kinds of vehicles.
We affect everything from your regular consumer all the way up to your first responders, so it is crucial that parts come out of this plant.
But they're not, and if you don't think the trickle-down effect is not being felt already, ask the guys at Rockstar Garage, where finding parts just got a lot more difficult.
I happened to call our local Chevrolet dealer. We needed some really cheap parts. We needed an $11 part and a $3 part for a car that we're, a $5,000 bill on. He
was told manufacturer parts are not available.
We'll just deal the best we can, and the customers are going to have to understand, like, hey, if we can't get the part, you're going to be waiting for your car.
In Southern California now, not having your vehicle is serious business. As far as goodwill towards strikers, critics say this may end up backfiring on the union, which is asking for things like 4-day work weeks and 36% wage increases.
Although the wages sound high, the members here can only make $25 an hour.
Starting members, that is. It was part of concessions union members made in 2009 to help companies like GM stay afloat during bankruptcy proceedings when they got federal bailouts.
What we're asking for essentially is everything that we gave up during the bankruptcies. We gave up pensions, we gave up raises, we gave up our COLA, which is cost of living. We're asking for them to be fair. When the CEO is making millions, can afford a mansion in Acapulco, we're asking for just enough so we can get by and continue to live the American dream.
That was Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reporting for us tonight. Striking auto workers on the West Coast showing their solidarity on social media today. Aside from California and Oregon, workers in Nevada and Colorado are also on the picket lines tonight. President Biden showing his support for the striking auto workers. Today on X, he wrote, quote, "Tuesday, I'll go to Michigan to join the picket line and stand in solidarity with the men and women of UAW as they fight for a fair share of the value they helped create. It's time for a win-win agreement that keeps American auto manufacturing thriving with well-paid UAW jobs." Now we turn to the latest on another major labor movement happening here on the West Coast. Members of the Writers Guild of America were back at the bargaining table today with major studio heads for the 3rd day in a row. As those negotiations continue, union members continue walking picket lines outside of the Netflix studios on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. It's unclear what exactly was discussed during today's talks, but there are reports of progress being made. Those on strike say it's clear what it will take to strike a deal.
It's going to take the AMPTP having respect and seeing the needs of the writers and seeing that they're taking advantage of the billions of dollars we make for their studios.
While the two sides discuss wages, streaming residuals, and protections against artificial intelligence, some striking writers say they are struggling to survive. One writer says he has signed up for Lyft and just applied to be a substitute teacher.
We're all desperate to get back to work. It feels like the studios are just trying to bleed the economy of this city. I'm hoping that they finally presented something that is worthy of negotiating.
The two sides have been tight-lipped about those new negotiations, but we do know the writers are talking to the so-called Big Four of the Producers Alliance. This includes Netflix, Warner Discovery, NBC Universal, and Disney. The WGA has now been on strike for more than 140 days. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden is in Seattle. She arrived there earlier today to visit the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. The First Lady is visiting to promote the White House's Cancer Moonshot Initiative. It's a topic that hits close to home for the Bidens. The president lost his oldest son, Beau, to brain cancer in 2015. The administration says the First Lady's visit highlights the importance of supporting child cancer and breast cancer survivors through research and care.
So fewer families know the pain of losing a loved one to this disease, as Joe and I have. That's the reason we're all here. That's why I'm asking you to lean in just a little bit more, to push your staffs just a little bit harder, for all the families touched by cancer across the country that are in a race against time. That is the urgency of now. And for Joe and for me, this is the mission of our lives.
Dr. Biden says funding research is now more important than ever after the COVID-19 pandemic delayed access to treatment and care. The First Lady is also headlining two political fundraisers tonight for President Biden's 2024 re-election campaign. And coming up next week, President Biden will be heading to California and Arizona. On Wednesday, he will travel to the San Francisco Bay Area for a campaign reception. Mr. Biden will also hold a meeting with the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. He will then visit Phoenix. The White House says the president will speak there on Thursday. His message will focus on democracy. Those remarks will also honor the legacy of the late Senator John McCain. Even though they were on separate sides of the aisle in the U.S. Senate, President Biden and Senator McCain were longtime friends. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs demanding more action tonight from the federal government to increase border security. Today, she signed a $10 million grant to help the Nogales Police Department with their request for new communication equipment. About 50 Customs and Border agents have been redeployed to the Nogales sector to help with a surge in migrant crossings in recent weeks. More than 11,000 migrants were apprehended just this week in the Tucson area. According to officials, around 500 people had to be rescued. In Oregon tonight, a heartbreaking cold case that captured the attention of the Portland community appears to be one step closer to closure. The man accused of killing an infant girl more than a decade ago is now behind bars. And as Fox 12 Portland's Deborah Gill shows us, the suspect is the girl's father.
This morning, Alnath Omar Oliver came before a Multnomah County courtroom for the first time in the case to face charges of manslaughter, rape, and concealing the birth of an infant. The case began in 2013 when a worker found infant remains in a Swan Island recycling center. The death was ruled a homicide, and the case caused widespread community concern. Detectives released a photo of the baby's hand and footprints in an emotional plea for information. But for years, nothing materialized, and the case went cold. Then in 2019, the Portland Cold Case Unit took over, and 2 years later, they found a DNA match. Finally, this year, detectives were able to identify the baby's father as 53-year-old Alnath Omar Oliver as the main suspect and learned her name was Amara.
He prevented both the mother from going to seek any medical care, prenatal or otherwise, including after in the immediate, she gave birth on his floor, and he prevented her from going to seek any medical attention. He then took the child from that from his apartment. In the course of walking to a hospital, the baby passed, and when he found the baby unresponsive, he refused to take that baby to the hospital.
2 weeks ago, the case was presented to a grand jury, which indicted Oliver on charges connected to Amara's death, and U.S. Marshals arrested him Thursday. He was 43 at the time, and according to court documents, the baby's mother, who was in his care and custody, was 15 years old at the time.
The relationship between Omar and her is sort of the nexus for that rape 3 charge that you saw. She's also a juvenile sex assault victim, so hence we won't be providing any more details about her.
In court, we learned the alleged victim is now his caregiver, but the judge ordered he cannot have any contact with her at all. Oliver pleaded not guilty and his bail was set at $100,000. He is expected back in court in early November. In downtown Portland, Deborah Gill, Fox 12, Oregon.
Also in Oregon, a man is arrested in connection to the cold case rape and murder of a 6-year-old boy. Deputies arrested Fred Kane III in Oregon on Monday. He's accused of abducting 6-year-old Jeremy Stoner and raping him near his home in the city of Vallejo in the San Francisco Bay Area back in 1987. Solano County prosecutors say the boy was found dead 4 days later on an island in the Sacramento River Delta. Officials said DNA technology led them to Kane and exonerated a prior suspect. Kane will be taken to Solano County to face those murder charges. Still to come tonight on West Coast Wrap, it's a deadly shooting that sparked a controversial gun policy in New Mexico, and tonight authorities have made arrests in that case. Plus, Apple is launching a new watch feature today that can track a user's mental health. We'll explain how it all works up next.
And in weather, still tracking some haze and some smoke over portions of Northern California, including the Bay Area, but a pattern change. We're talking about a return of some rainfall over the next few days, especially up in the Pacific Northwest. And we'll have the update coming up.
In New Mexico, 2 men have been arrested in connection to a shooting outside of a baseball stadium that killed an 11-year-old boy. It was a disturbing crime that prompted the governor of that state to issue a controversial gun ban. Police say Jose Romero and Nathan Garley were arrested yesterday. The shooting happened earlier this month after an Albuquerque Isotopes minor league baseball game. Police say the victim was not the intended target, and authorities described the killing as a case of mistaken identity. That crime, though, led New Mexico's governor to issue a controversial order that prohibited carrying guns in the Albuquerque area. A federal judge later blocked that order following a lawsuit. As cities across the West Coast struggle to address the homelessness crisis, a new effort is underway now in parts of Nevada to get families into temporary shelters. In Clark County, an old La Quinta hotel has become a refuge for the unhoused. It's meant to help the growing number of families in need with children. Officials say the growing problem is all tied to the surge in evictions this summer ever since state protections expired.
Evictions have increased significantly. That is our primary reason to have families come into care. We're actually seeing a lot of families come from out of state. They're coming without a secure support system, without jobs, without a place to live.
The facility meets a crucial immediate need, and that is to keep families together so kids will not enter foster care. At the hotel, there are activities for kids, laundry facilities, plus parents get access to workforce connections to find a job. All right, we want to move along and tell you about the situation in Northern California because people there continue to experience unhealthy air quality. A spare the air alert is in effect through tomorrow for the Bay Area as wildfire smoke from northern parts of the state and southern Oregon moves across that region. In eastern Oregon, it is a much different picture. Snow is falling on Mount Bachelor in the city of Bend. There is still a long way to go, of course, until skiers and snowboarders would be able to hit the slopes, but it is certainly exciting to see the snowfall. Opening day for the mountain is November 24th. Let's check in now with meteorologist Mark Tamayo. And Mark, snow on the final day of summer.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. Yeah, a reminder that, yeah, we are about to change seasons. We're getting closer to winter. In fact, just within a few hours tonight, 11:50, we're talking about fall. So fall begins late tonight and into the weekend. Of course, tomorrow will be the first full day of fall and some changes headed our way. So we have been talking about the smoke in the San Francisco Bay Area. This was the scene, as you can see, looking out towards San Francisco. All of that lingering haze, the spare the air alert, it's been continuing for several days. It continues into Saturday. So that's in place for the entire Bay Area. But one more day, then the pattern really begins to change. And that pattern change should really help us out. Here's the forecast model showing you that some of that smoke. So this will actually head up into Oregon as we head into the weekend. So this is for your Saturday. And then look what happens into Sunday. A big change in the upper level wind pattern will definitely clear out Northern California, portions of the Bay Area, but still of course, some lingering smoke as you would expect right around the fire zones. Here is what's happening, though. We have a significant change in the weather pattern. We're talking about rainfall up in the Pacific Northwest, especially for Monday. This is an atmospheric river, and rainfall expectations could be around 1 to 3 inches. So that's kind of the next developing storm that will top the weather headlines over the next few days. For the rest of the West Coast, we still have some hazy sunshine, some mild conditions for Central and Southern California. And today, this was the case in Seattle with some sunshine, but the clouds definitely moving in over the next few days. In Phoenix, still some high clouds streaming into Southern California, also approaching Arizona. Temperatures in the upper 90s, and in Los Angeles, lots of cloud cover, not out of the question. They could pick up a few sprinkles this evening. High today in Los Angeles of 76 degrees. So here's the overall weather setup. You can see some rain showers out toward the portions of, as you can see, out toward Montana, Wyoming, and even a few sprinkles in Southern California. But you can see this development in the Pacific Northwest. So a place like Seattle, even Portland, we're talking about some more rainfall coming on board this weekend. Could be light to moderate, but it looks like the intensity will pick up into next week. Temperatures for tomorrow as we take a look at the Saturday forecast highs. No major heat. You can see 60s, 70s, 97 in Phoenix, and Denver will be in the upper 70s for tomorrow afternoon, as you can see coming up for you. Your 3-day forecast over the next few days. It's fairly quiet, but you can see this rain cloud, multiple rain clouds over the next several days. The first atmospheric river of the season targeting the Pacific Northwest. Alex.
All right, Mark, thank you. YouTube is bringing artificial intelligence to its platform to help creators make content. The California-based company says the tools are meant to, quote, push the boundaries of creative expression. The new features include Dream Screen on YouTube Shorts that creates AI-generated videos and tools to help creators brainstorm and plan out ideas. YouTube also announced a new feature that will automatically dub videos in different languages. The Silicon Valley-based Apple says the latest update for its watches can now track mental health and state of mind by letting you log your feelings. This is all part of the watch's new mindfulness app. The app will provide emotion categories for users to choose how they're currently feeling. Data logged in the app can be used to assess if a user has depression or anxiety, and that can generate a PDF report for medical professionals. SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles may soon lose its bid to host the next FIFA World Cup. The Athletic reports that Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, which owns SoFi and several pro sports teams, is unhappy with the hosting contract. The company is not satisfied with how revenues will be shared and where the money will come from. Company leaders are willing to walk away as a host unless FIFA agrees to renegotiate that deal. The two universities who will soon be the final two remaining members of the Pac-12 are set to face off tomorrow. Washington State will host Oregon State. Both the teams are undefeated. After this season, the two teams will be the last remaining members of the Pac-12 as a growing number of universities have left for other conferences. Yesterday, in a joint news conference, both universities declared their commitment to working together during this transition.
We stand united in our mission and our values, and in our total commitment to our students, to our student athletes, to our states, and to our communities.
The Pac-12 Conference has been granted a 2-year grace period to rebuild with a minimum of 8 participating schools. A special celebration today for a retired park ranger. Coming up on West Coast Wrap, how a California community is honoring Betty Reid Soskin. Plus, a perfect excuse this weekend to get out and head to a national park. The Sweet Deal happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, admission is free to all national parks here in the U.S. This is to mark National Public Lands Day, and it's one of 5 free days offered by the National Park Service this year. Some of the parks here on the West Coast that you can visit free of charge include the Grand Canyon in Arizona, Yosemite National Park, Joshua Tree, and Zion in Utah. There will be one more free admission day this year on November 11th, which is Veterans Day. In California, the woman known as America's oldest park ranger is celebrating another big birthday. Reid Soskin turns 102 today, and today she and her family visited classrooms at the middle school named for her in the Bay Area city of El Sobrante. KTVU's Christian Captain has the story.
Reid Soskin has lived a storied life that brought her, after all these years, back to middle school. This one named in her honor. Students and educators on hand to share a special day with her 102nd birthday.
102. I hope I have the energy that you have.
Inside the school library, the woman of the hour reflected on her 102 years and what these young people can expect in their own lives.
I think that they're going to find the surprise. They're going to find that no matter what they do or how they live, it's all going to be a surprise.
Reid Soskin has lived her life to the fullest. Her family moved to the Bay Area in 1927. She was instrumental in the creation of the Rosie the Riveter Memorial, and many know of her after she became a ranger with the National Park Service in 2007 at the age of 85. She retired from the Park Service in 2022 as the oldest serving ranger, but she's done so much more with her 102 years, from songwriting to being a mother of 4. Her family says of all the accolades, having a school named for her brings her the most satisfaction.
This is what she appreciates, because she knows that you all are going to carry her into the future. Yes. And that's really her legacy, and she really covets it.
Students helped select Reid Soskin as their school's namesake, an honor that came on her 100th birthday. Students still say there's a lot they can learn from this living legend.
Yes, it shows me that I can do the same things that she has accomplished. I can do anything I want, like anything I put my mind to, I can accomplish it.
As for the rest of her 102nd birthday, Reid Soskin has big plans.
Yes, pizza and cake.
Her visit to the school ending with a song and a standing invitation to return next year for her 103rd birthday. In El Sobrante, Christian Captain, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Wishing Betty the happiest of birthdays. To Southern California now, where some big names hitting the waves at the world's largest women's surf competition. The Nissan Supergirl Pro kicked off its 17th year today at the Oceanside Pier in San Diego County. It's the largest women's surfing competition in the world, with 140 professional surfers taking part. This is a weekend-long festival, and on this year's lineup, a number of sporting events, a concert series, and celebrity panelists discussing everything from sustainability to female leadership. Looks like it should be a fantastic weekend there at Oceanside. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for West Coast Wrap. You can stay up to date on all the stories we're covering at westcoastwrap.com. Have a great rest of your night and a fantastic weekend.